That's not a sentence from a Netflix show. It's Jim Jones's son discussing Chrissy Lampkin in a voice memo that was leaked without any editing or screenplay. I saw my own father remain mute while she tore us apart. For years, fans believed that Chrissy was just the ride or die, but it's not just heartbreaking. It's damning. She didn't just cheat on my dad, she damaged this family and cheated on all of us. Fans, but in private, she allegedly took Cameron's late-night calls while Jim was out collecting checks to support the family. Now the son, who has remained silent for the entire time, is tearing everything apart. The day he came in and saw something he was never allowed to see. The lies, the betrayal, the nights he heard the arguments. This isn't reality TV drama anymore. It's genuine betrayal and a son finally sharing his story. When you hear what he tells next, you won't look at Chrissy the same way again. She didn't just shatter his heart. She wrecked everything we were holding together. And his father was too broken to urge, "Stay right there." He simply watched as she destroyed everything. It's a voice message from Jim Jones' son, and it has been making the rounds in group chats from Harlem to Houston for years. Chrissy Layman was a different. Chrissy was behind the fancy shoes, VH1 edits, and manufactured reunions, allegedly leaving broken pieces everywhere she walked, including inside her own house. She was praised as the ride or die woman who waited, fought, and stayed. And now that the one person who never spoke, Jim Jones' son, is speaking at last, and he's not just talking, he's exposing. That house of secrets is exploding. Let's go back in time. We all recall the silent rumors that trailed Chrissy for years. Rumors that she was emotionally involved with Cameron, Jim's close friend Dipset's brother, who was family to her back then by loyalty rather than, was just blog talk and a nasty rumor. But what if I told you that those rumors were true and that Jim's own kid was in the front row seeing the collapse? I was only a teenager, but I wasn't a moron. I saw the DMs and saw how Jim stared at her after learning, but he continued to act as if nothing had happened. This isn't just a fan theory anymore. It's first-hand account from someone who had every reason to remain silent, but chose to speak up. And now the internet is ablaze because of the leak. You ever had to act like everything's cool knowing the woman who ruined your childhood is sitting in the next room? Was written in a single mysterious Instagram story with a black background and white letters. There were no tags, names, or context, but fans understood. And within 15 minutes, Chrissy was trending once more. But this time it wasn't for a fresh reality TV appearance. Rather, it was for what some are referring to as the betrayal of the Harlem House. And when websites attempted to clarify, they heard the voice memo, a 47-second recording with no music, no filters, and no edits, just a grown man facing the issues that influenced his early years. My dad isn't perfect, but the way she treated him still baffles me as to how he was able to forgive. That I don't even believe he did. Instead, I believe he simply gave up. To really comprehend the significance of this narrative, we must revisit the initial controversy. The claimed romance with Cameron wasn't a one-night error. Sources close to the family claimed that it was a 2-year emotional roller coaster that included numerous business trips Chrissy allegedly made alone, late-night FaceTime chats, and covered hotel meetings while Jim was on tour. We also believe that cities in the same vicinity as Cam sounded phony until an unnamed former Chrissy assistant, let's call her Kesha, came forth. Kesha worked for Chrissy from 2014 to 2016, and what she claims is I always had to arrange for her flights to wherever Cam was performing, so I didn't give it much thought until I heard them fighting on the phone. She would claim she was traveling to LA to manage a shoot or do fittings. You know who they are. A night when Jim flew out early to surprise Chrissy in Atlanta, he entered her suite and discovered Cam's wallet on the nightstand. Not Cam, just the wallet, according to Kesha. I'm not sure what happened after that, but Chrissy urged me to cancel everything. The following day, she was sobbing and trembling, and she fled the hotel before dawn as soon as this fresh wave of fans were not shocked by the accusations. In fact, many claim to have seen the warning signals all along. These are simply a few fictitious but eerily realistic-sounding tweet highlights from Twitter X, not Jim's son expressing what we've all been thinking about Chrissy Ben's amusing dives at baby mother since 2012. She played the long game, got the ring, and still emotionally dipped on him. Amicable, and suddenly the internet became fixated on what actually transpired in the Jones home, but the story doesn't stop there because Jim's son's further revelations turned this story from messy to traumatic. In the second segment of his voice memo that was released, Jim's son describes a painfully intimate recollection that is causing cultural shockwaves. "My pop said, 'You could have told me you didn't have to humiliate me like this,' when I was 14 years old and heard them fight through the walls. I didn't comprehend everything, but I knew it was about him and Cam." And she responded, "Jimmy, you were never truly here, and I needed something real." "You were never truly here," that line said. The internet went down. Because whether it's true or not, that is a lifelong scar, and now it's public knowledge. After that night, Chrissy stopped sharing family photos. Jim appeared aloof, and the chemistry that fans had once adored gradually faded into awkward quiet. When fans look back on interviews, they say that the indications were all there. "We simply didn't want to believe them." One commentator said that the most dangerous lies are the ones we tell ourselves in order to maintain a positive online persona. And Jim never, despite Cam sneaking Chrissy in a song that inexplicably vanished from streaming the week after it was released, Jim's son never officially addressed the Cameron accusations. Therefore, the issue still stands. Why did he choose? What does this mean for the Jones family's future? We're going to delve deeper because the next voice memo discloses something even darker, which could help to explain why Jim never defended. The following voice memo was provided, explaining why Chrissy was never canceled and why those closest to them had remained silent up to this point. "I didn't say anything before because I didn't want to offend my father. But hearing Jim's son's voice drop plainly and anonymously at 2:04 a.m. changed everything. I saw him deteriorate every let it breathe. It's not only about adultery anymore. It's about what happens after betrayal and the quiet." A year ago, she smiled for cameras as if nothing had ever occurred. The gaslighting, the illusion, because Jim was reportedly silently unraveling behind closed doors, while Chrissy was out here advising others on reality shows about relationships, developing brands, and turning tables for drama. "Why don't you leave?" I used to beg him, and guess who was watching the entire time? He would just respond, "She's all I got, man." That resonated with me. People frequently question why Jim had never married Chrissy after all those years. Was it cold feet, the industry, his personality, or something more profound? He truly thought that she was his only choice. Jim's kid was afraid that if he let go, he would lose not only a partner, but also the only structure he had ever known, no matter how toxic. Can you picture growing up in that environment, watching your father strive for serenity while drowning in chaos? Is disclosing information now, not for influence or views, but for release? Let's discuss the following section, since this is where the story changes. One of the most outrageous accusations was made in a private direct message that was leaked to a gossip page by a former Jones family employee. The message said she had access to everything, including contracts, bank information, and passwords. She would intercept his calls, delete messages, and cancel meetings without informing him. Sometimes Jimmy would show up. To be clear, this is all alleged. We're talking about emotional control on a higher level here. Venues were informed that the event was canceled, but they later learned that Chrissy had pulled the plug behind his back. A chess move after move, piece by piece, until the board has only one king left and he is too exhausted to fight, isn't simply betrayal. Another leaked email purportedly from Chrissy's publicist to a television producer says, "Please do not bring up the Cameron allegations throughout the interview." Chrissy is willing to talk about how her relationship with Jim has changed, but the Cam story is off limits. If it were never real, why would it be off limits? Otherwise, why avoid a ghost? The craziest thing is that Cameron is now making fun of himself on his Instagram story by sharing a video of himself from an old Dipset music video standing next to the genuine ghost, who was dressed in pink mink and grinning. Some memories age like wine, Chrissy said in the description. No background, no follow-up, just smoke. Yet the internet exploded in a matter of hours, and people began unearthing old, "It's not looking good for Chrissy" fans as footage are being used to piece together timeframes, compare lyrics, analyze interviews, and resurface a 2016 interview in which Cam was asked about women in the industry. Many now think Chrissy was directly shot, and if so, she neither retaliated or disputed it. Instead, she simply changed course, and now that Jim's kid is speaking up, a new story is emerging that positions Chrissy as the antagonist rather than the victim. The Sun claims in the closing moments of the story that Chrissy wasn't only toxic to him. Voice message, she was poisonous to us and the entire family, and everything crystallized at that moment. This isn't just a romance scandal. It's a family breakdown where years of emotional decay are covered in, not to mention the expensive clothing and Instagram effects. Chrissy proposed to Jim on national television. She grabbed the opportunity and said, "I got this," rather than waiting for him to drop the question. Fans are now wondering if it was just another tactic to manipulate the story so that everyone believes she was the glue while covertly removing the curtain. At the time, it was referred to as an empowering famous boss move, strings behind the scenes, and we noticed the tension when Jim didn't accept the proposal right away. We didn't realize the full context at the time, but now we do. It wasn't cold feet. Rather, it was internal conflict. It was a man divided between love and allegiance, and a son witnessing the entire situation unravel. And it becomes even more sinister when a purported audio leak is released anonymously once more. It seems to be a recorded phone conversation between Jim and an unnamed male buddy. "I'm in the crib feeling like a ghost. Like I'm in her way. Let that sink in. I'm not only heartbroken, I'm not angry," and I'm faintly able to hear Jim say, "She don't even look at me the same." When all of this is happening in public, Chrissy remains silent. No tweets, no Instagram posts, no denial, no damage control, and you know what that quiet means, strategy or guilt. Chrissy is well aware of this. She has 10 years of experience spinning stories, from hip-hop and romance to fashion deals, and she always knows how to show herself as the misunderstood queen. However, this time the story is slipping away from her, and it's not only Jim's. Now, more alleged insiders are coming forward, including former co-workers of VH1 stylists and drivers, as well as old friends. One DM claims that she always had a fallback plan in case she ever had to leave, giving her leverage. Jimmy used to remark, "If she leaves, I'll lose more than just love. I'll lose everything." Imagine living like that. Jimmy wasn't crazy. He was just tired. Here's where it all comes together. After 2015, Jim Jones's music slowed down. He stopped touring and dropping songs as frequently, and in his final candid interview about love, he stated, "Sometimes you stay." That statement sounds different today, doesn't it? It sounds like a man who remained too long in a burning house. Walking away feels like failure even when you know it's already over. And a helpless boy who watched the fire while clutching the ashes. The fans are divided. Some believe Jim's son is merely revealing personal information to get attention, while others believe this was essential for him to regain his reality. However, one thing is certain: the portrayal of Chrissy as the devoted, affectionate, and combative fiancée is crumbling, and below it lies a decade of secrets that might completely change our perception of what we already knew. What comes next are the lawsuits, the apologies, and the inevitable "there will be damage control soon." But first, we must discuss the one thing that nobody anticipated Jim was planned. Now that everything is public, you will understand what he has been holding back for years. When the truth ultimately comes to light, you discover that some people weren't merely surviving a negative relationship. Rather, they were ensnared in a performance, a long-running act where Jim Jones, according to recent insider reports, was prepared to depart several times, but every time he got close, something would inexplicably reveal a confidential information. The pain was genuine, but the smiles were staged. According to a former stylist who worked with both of them, if a fight was captured on camera or a chat appeared on blogs, an old feud would resurface. And guess who always had the ideal counter-narrative ready? Jim attempted to back out, but she had suddenly become the victim in public. She had perfected the art of crying on TV and then calling it quits. The source even detailed a particular instance backstage at a reunion special where Jim was silently keeping it together. "Don't forget what's on the line," Chrissy whispered as he entered. He sat down and didn't say anything else. What does it mean? Was it money, contracts, or secrets that were at stake? Chrissy had a backup plan the entire time, according to someone claiming to be a talent manager. It wasn't romantic, but it was strategic, and she reportedly met privately with executives about starting her own Series 1, in which Jim would not be featured at all, in which she was the brand's star and boss, and in which she really knew where the skeletons were buried if Jim didn't cooperate. Figuratively speaking, all of this is alleged, but the date seems a bit too clear, particularly in light of the most recent revelation, an anonymous audio recording that was released 3 nights ago, where the voice is highly "I told her, if you leak that tape, I'm done." But the message is warped. "You're done, baby," she said. I realized then that I was only in now. The internet is certain that the voice belongs to Jim, and that tape might be the purportedly lost video from that notorious 2014 Atlanta hotel incident, assuming what fans are assembling is accurate. Not only did Chrissy leverage conceal the film, but Jim's son also shared a mysterious story with no words and an old family photo that was broken in half down the middle, with Jim on one side and Chrissy on the other. Dooming, tagging, and resharing in an attempt to determine whether this indicates that Jim and Chrissy are officially done, but the thing insiders are now saying is that sometimes peace comes with loss. That Chrissy is already planning her next move. She is reportedly negotiating a new agreement, a tell-all documentary, in which she will have control over the story and be able to finally speak her truth. If that doesn't work, I don't know what control is. But after listening to Jim's son's words, seeing years of stillness turn into anarchy, and especially after what happened next, Mama Jones, yes, people aren't buying it. I've been told y'all she wasn't right, but y'all said I was crazy. I ain't crazy. I just saw the devil. Mama Jones, Jim's outspoken mother, says in a surprise interview clip from a forthcoming podcast episode, she disappears behind the diamonds. Have you ever seen your child fall in love with the storm? He dances in lightning, believing it's a light show, but the storm never stopped until he was too exhausted to abandon Mama Jones. Doesn't mince words when she claims that Chrissy cut Jim apart from his family, made holidays difficult, and turned family dinners into interrogations. She even suggests that Chrissy destroyed letters that Jim had written to his deceased friend's stack bundles. And for fans who are aware of Jim's past, that one struck close to home. Now, Jim's son, Mama Jones, purported former employees, and unnamed insiders are all echoing the same chorus. Jim was just a devoted heart, and Chrissy wasn't the victim. She was the puppeteer. Hashtags like Chewy Free, Jim Jones Chin Chrissy Exposed, and Family First include exploding. Is Chrissy the villain or a victim of spin? You already know that the next episode of this story will be even more bizarre. There will be more audio, more leaked texts, and more. So in the comments section, hit the like button, subscribe, and keep those notifications on. Now that the mask is gone and the truth is leaking out, what do you think Chrissy was actually for? If you thought this was explosive, wait till you see what comes next. Did Jim's son just express what we've all been wondering for years? Is this the conclusion of a toxic love story or the start of a long overdue reckoning? We want to hear it all. Or was this all one long, agonizing performance? Do you think Mama Jones will eventually speak out through music? Do you think Chrissy should even have a forum to defend herself in this way? Share your thoughts, opinions, and conspiracy theories in the comments section below. The next leak could rock the internet once more, so if you believe that there was even a shred of truth in what was said, subscribe. If you're sick of lies and ready for more unvarnished reality, click that bell to overlook what's about to happen. This isn't just drama, is now a full-blown reception revolution remains bound in.